Mike's Daily Podcast.
Welcome to FF episode 2118. I just talked to her.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
The gal that says, Mike's Daily Podcast, that's my cousin, Anki. I talked to her yesterday. She's in Hamburg. Her name's not Bonky Moon, and she's having a great time. She's got a boyfriend. Everything's great. She just had her birthday, and they did spend it together. What?
Mike's Daily Podcast.
This is FF episode 2118. Thank you for listening to this show
Mike's
that comes to you daily.
Daily
You can always comment
Podcast
at the number.
Yeah!
You can text or call the number 336MM daily. 3 plus 3 equals 6. MM as in Mike Matthews, daily as in what this podcast tries to be. RTZ, I was talking about last show, had the lead singer from Boston who passed away due to suicide, I think over 10 years ago now. The band RTZ stands for Return to Zero, which is a recording term. Back in the day when they used tape, you would set a marker to meet the beginning. It would mean the beginning of the song. And you would start recording on your different tracks, and you say, oops, I made a mistake. Let's go back to zero. Let's return to zero. And there you'd hit this button. It'd rewind right back to the point where you made the marker. This is when digital started to mix in with analog, as we were recording analog with the tape. And then the next step was like, hey, idiots, why are we still recording on tape? Let's do this all digitally. And that's why, like now, I am digital with you now. And there was a time when, ooh, digital, what's that is that gonna sound different? It sounds exactly the same, except none of this. Yes, no cats hissing in your ears. Or the tape hiss is another thing that we are glad is gone.
And here's today's podcast picture.
Hopefully. The podcast picture today is of my wonderful dog, Basil the Boxer, who will bark for you momentarily. 3 years ago, we were at Carmel Beach in lovely Carmel. It was such a wonderful trip. We went down there. I actually saw my ex-wife and her new husband, and she had a daughter, now has a daughter and a son. And I got to see all of them and have lunch. And then Basil and I went and enjoyed Pacific Grove, Carmel, Monterey, Cannery Row. It was such a fun day. So just remembering that and remembering the late, great Basil. Yes. You barked at the waves. And I think I did too. Dang waves. Get my feet wet. The waves are fine. They can make my feet wet. I don't care. It's just when they start getting my shorts wet. And then you get my cell phone wet, then we got issues. Hey, this is not going to in any way transition correctly at all. But first off, I'd like to say this big fire in San Bernardino caused by a gender announcement party. When I first heard that, and I heard it on NPR, and I thought, oh, so someone coming out as like non-binary or they're completely saying no to gender, or I thought it had that kind of a gender slant. Like, I'm reassigning my gender, so I'm going to make an announcement. I thought it was like a full-grown person. No, it's parents announcing what gender their baby is. And because they used a smoke machine of some sort and pyrotechnics, that caused the big San Bernardino fire. That's, guess what? Hey, Californians, I don't think you have enough smoke. I don't think you've been smoked enough. I don't think you're that cured pork that needs more smoking. Or what else is something you smoke? I don't know. Ribs? Salmon? We needed more smoking to be smoked more. And now now I can't even see Mount Diablo. Oh, I'm starting to see Mount Diablo for where I am in Podcaster Valleyton, the last place on earth, here at Cafe Anyway. Yes. Mount Diablo is starting to show himself. And I guess I will assign the gender he to Mount Diablo, if you don't mind. That's my gender announcement for today. But someone else who identifies as male, is that how we're going to preface everyone in the future? So-and-so identifies as a sheep. That's bad. But Ray Weiss Ray Weiss is this guy. If you saw him, you would be, oh, yeah, that guy. I'm going to do a quick Bing search. And I give Bing a plug, but I also give them a slug. What the heck, guys? I have searched so many times on this one, on your Bing, and I don't get any points. What's that about? And I'm not going to play your stupid games anymore. Twin Peaks. He was on that. Fresh Off the Boat, RoboCop, Swamp Thing, Reaper. Oh, he had a big part in Reaper. He was that guy, the evil guy, the old guy in Reaper, the older guy in Reaper, not the young kid. Jeepers Creepers 2, Good Night and Good Luck. Yes, he was good in that. Deep End, Twin Peaks, Fire Walk with Me. He was on Psych. He had a lot of recurring roles on Psych. He was this preacher. He was a priest in Psych. And then he came back on another episode that was supposed to take place early on. It was sort of this fake, early lost episode of Psych. And he played a judge in that one. But he was on Psych, Twin Peaks, Fire Walk with Me, The Journey of Natty Gann. Or is it gone? Star Trek Voyager. I think he was in all the Jeepers Creepers. Fargo. The Closer, and way back when in Charlie's Angels, and NCIS and Jurassic City. Okay. Ray Weiss is actually the father of somebody I've interviewed on this show, the band called The Go Ahead. The woman who is the lead singer of that band is the daughter of Ray Weiss, and I did not know that at the time that I was interviewing them. But then I started following her on Instagram, and I was like, whoa, wow, you sure have a lot of pictures of oh, that's your dad. Oh, I get it. So so have I talked to Ray Weiss ever? No, but he's got one of those cool styles when he does a role. He's a good actor, and he can play funny, he can play serious. He can play scary. He can play a villain. All that to say that I interviewed his daughter and I didn't know. The Go Ahead. And by the way, you can look up The Go Ahead. I think as I'm trying to look them up on my website, man, I cannot alphabetize worth anything. Let's see here. Interviews. I guess I haven't. As we go outside a cafe anyway, we're bringing Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley 10, the last place on earth. Dang it. Because I'm an awful alphabetizer, and it should be just Go Ahead. And I alphabetized the and Go Ahead. Does anyone know how to alphabetize anymore, by the way? It seems like we do so little of it these days. Well, let's see. Some of the other bands I interviewed were a band called Odd Owl. There was a band called the Banner Days. And I stopped interviewing bands because they really got under my skin. They would just really, we'd set a time for the interview. They'd be late, or they'd stand me up. Oh, the Orange Peels. That was a good band. Actually, kind of sad. The Orange Peels, the members of that band, Alan Clapp, the lead singer, and they sound great. They lived up in the mountains of Santa Cruz, and I don't know if their house burned down, but I saw something to that effect. They definitely had to evacuate. And so it was a thing I did for a while, and there it is, the Go Ahead. Oh my gosh, you have to go deep searching in my website to find it at mikesdailypodcast.com. But let's see. I don't even mention the lead singer's name. I apologize. But they were some nice people, so check them out. They're a local San Francisco band. And Ray Weiss should join the band because he practically is in it. What else to talk about today on this wonderful hot Labor Day. Bottle brush bushes. I mentioned them in a recent podcast. Bottle brush bushes. Those bushes, and I see a lot of those in Benita when I was there a week ago. Lordy, they attract. The Go Ahead, by the way, have their own website, thegoaheadmusic.com. And it is kinda wise. Okay, sorry, I forgot all your names. Alex Hamlock, Josh Hertz, and Chris Kelly. It was a long time ago that I interviewed them, and they were just so nice. And I think I made kinda cried because I was asking her about how the band met and, the struggles of having a band. And she was very cool and talked all about that. See, this is like a quick blurb of one of their songs. There you go. See, that's the other thing. I can't play bands on my show because then I get dinged by YouTube. It's so annoying. But yeah, they were talking all about that. Okay, bottle brushes or Yesterday? Yesterday, I watched Yesterday, the Beatles movie. The movie about what if suddenly one day some kind of a solar flare happens and everybody forgets the Beatles. Which was weird because not only did people forget the Beatles, but basically all Beatles records and CDs and downloads and everything else that would be reminiscent of the Beatles disappeared. Even Oasis disappeared. So it was like a total erasure of the Beatles across the universe, across the earth. And the one guy that remembers it is this guy he's a singer-songwriter, a young guy. And Ed Sheeran hears him play a Beatles song and goes, "What's that? Oh my gosh, what's that?" Next thing you know, his manager, played by Kate McKinnon, who plays this disgusting gosh. And the thing is she's not really exaggerating when she performs, even though, she's a comedian and she exaggerates when she does comedy and all that. But what she portrays in the music industry and the type of people managers are in the music industry, that's exactly how they are. She wasn't really stretching the truth much. And so Ed Sheeran's disgusting, swarmy, awful, just money, dollar sign, eyeballs manager, played by Kate McKinnon, basically hires this guy, this songwriter, and then tries to make him a big thing. And he's performing, opening for Ed Sheeran. And Ed Sheeran plays himself. Ed Sheeran's himself. It is the Ed Sheeran in the movie, doing a great job. And all these Beatles songs, everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, these sound wonderful." Even though it's hard to imagine a world without the Beatles, they have influenced everything and everything we hear. And then somehow Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr never existed, but John Lennon does. It's a bizarre movie. It asks you to completely suspend your disbelief. But it was a fun romantic movie. It had the lady from Downton Abbey in it. And it was very cute. So the creator of Slumdog Millionaire and the director from that, rather, and the writer Richard Curtis, who wrote Love Actually and Notting Hill, 4 Weddings and a Funeral. So he's really good at Britcom type stuff. All that to say, bottle brush bushes. When I grew up in Van Nuys, which not too far away from Van Nuys is Woodland Hills, it hit the rocket high temperature of 121 degrees Fahrenheit yesterday. It was that hot. Horrible conditions here in California. Just living here, really makes you think about moving. And then people moving back to their houses, and their houses survive a fire, but then they can't use the water because the water is all poisoned because the PVC pipe, everything is melted underground, and the water you can't use it. There's pollutants. And there's no electricity, and God forbid, no internet. So it's really impossible to live here in California, except the nice thing is there's not as much traffic. So that's nice. But back to bottle brushes. So bottle brush bushes, there was one of these bushes, They are these bushes with those bright red. They look like brushes, the little brush fibers sticking out of this plant, and they're red and they're full of pollen and sticky sap, and they stick to everything when they drop. Not only that, like if you walk barefoot, they're all over your feet, and they attract every awful, dangerous bug on the planet. Like any bug that can bite you and sting you and make your life miserable, they are attracted to these bushes. They love the nectar. So you got wasps, and we had one next to our house in Van Nuys when I was a kid, and sure enough, one of the wasps stung my mom. They attract bees, hornets, you name it. And so there was a bunch of those in Benicia. And as I mentioned also, I was bit by a bunch of mosquitoes. I'm never bit by mosquitoes. And all these mosquitoes just all over my arm. Ridiculous. There in Benicia. I gave a big plug to Benicia in a couple podcasts back, and now it's a bunch of slugs to Benicia. Okay, all that to say, this podcast has covered a lot of ground over the years, and I hadn't quite got the bottle bushes yet. And I hadn't quite gotten to this little thing that annoys the crap out of me in my neighborhood. And that is, there is a neighbor's house. Well, he's not he's in my neighborhood. He's not necessarily a neighbor. Although you should be good to your neighbors. Treat your neighbors as yourself. But there's someone in the general vicinity of my house that makes this loud beeping noise, kind of like when you leave something in the microwave and after it's cooked it and you leave it in the microwave and it's sitting there even though the microwave is off, the microwave reminds you with that beep beep, like every minute or every 30 seconds, beep beep, like open and get the food, forgetful Fran. So you as forgetful Fran go over and you get your food. So what? I got a new text message. Oh, yes, you can text me at 336MM daily. I mentioned that earlier in their show. So there's this house with this beep beep, and I don't know what it is. It can't be the microwave because it's way louder than any microwave on the planet, unless they're super deaf and they got a microwave. Like there's something sitting in their microwave. They better get that out. Whatever it is, it's long since become inedible. Get your dang food. Oh. The only other thing I can think it is maybe a little sensor on someone's door. And when someone walks through the door, it makes that beep beep. And just kind of like, when you go into a deli or something and they got the beep beep to let the shop owner know someone's walked in. But that's weird for someone's house. Maybe they're elderly. I don't know. But I hear this every day. And I've been hearing it for years. And that's enough to make me want to move. Anyway, we're outside a cafe anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth. Mike Matthews, with a very unorganized website that you can check out at mikesdailypodcast.com. I should organize the dang thing. It costs me enough money to keep the thing going. Look who's out here. Hello, Mike Matthews. It's Chely Shoehart, gift shop supervisor. Oh my gosh, I remember when you had the go-ahead on. The go-ahead, yeah. So kind of... let's see, we met, and all the band members, we all met at this little coffee place, one of your generic ones here in the Bay Area, chains of some sort. We were near Market Street and out in this area. You should go back and listen to the interview because you hear the sound of the city, the sounds of the city, and then I interspersed it with their music. And of course, as soon as I put the music on my podcast, I get dinged by every copyright licensing company. So that's one of the reasons why I don't do it anymore. But they were nice people. And I remember afterwards, after I interviewed them, I went for a walk. I ended up somewhere, I think, near AT&T Park. And I hit a couple microbreweries along the way. It was a fun day. And then took Bart home. And the problem is, if you're on the East Bay and you take the BART into the city, and let's say you stay late till 9, 10, 11 o'clock, which, by the way, you can't do anymore, can you? By the way, you cannot. I think the BART shuts down after 9 p.m., or it was a couple months back. I don't know if they reopened it. But nevertheless, if you do take the BART home that late, you are always going to see something that you wish you could unsee. Always. Oh, the things I've seen. And I haven't done this a bunch. I did only maybe less than 100 times, definitely. But, gosh, the things I've seen. And it's always after 9 o'clock when you're on the BART going home from the city on a Friday night or something. Yikes. Just the worst things. Who else is here? Oh, Mike, this is Floyd the Floorman. And this is John Deere, the engineer. Mike, I think it's really great that you have seen things that you wish you could unsee. Yeah. Hey, why? No, that's not a good thing. Hey, it said on the website that the Disgruntled Fiddle Player was supposed to be here. Where's he? I don't know, Mike. Oh, here he is. Hey, Mike, it's Disgruntled Fiddle Player. Tell you what. What? I didn't know I was supposed to be on today's show. Yeah. Look who else is here. Oh, Mike, I make the delicious root beer handsome right now. I wish I could unsee this root beer that you're pouring for me because I do not want to drink it. Drink some now, could you? That's not even nice. Next show, it'll be the wonderful Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player. You'll be back, and the Brewmaster. Like heck I will. Yeah, you'll be back. And the Brewmaster, too, or I'll cut him. Oh, no. Yeah. Thank you for listening. What do you think about any of the topics we covered today? Bottle brush bushes at all. You can call me 336MM Daily. 3 + 3 = 6. MM is the Mike Matthews Daily, as in what this podcast tries to be. Enjoy your week. Thank you for listening on Labor Day. If you did, today was Labor Day, and I did this show, and I did a little bit of labor to do it. So thank you for listening.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye.